It's time for another tour at my tiny estate. This time we're going to show you around the stables. An insane amount of work went into renovating this building, inside and out. We lived in the hayloft apartment we created for a year and still consider it one of our favourite spaces. We hope you enjoy it as much as we do.
So let's take you to the stables courtyard and we're going to show you what we have done since the TV show. If you want to catch up on the full renovation that we did, that is all on TV. We were very, very lucky to be filming for 6 months. It was very intense. We love the team, but it almost cracked us. It almost broke us because we did so much work in such a short amount of time. Since the TV show, we actually have resurfaced all of this section. We use the same compound that we use, which is basically like crushed stone, and it's been just kind of like mashed down to be able to not leave tracks when we are going with the cars, parking. We are very fortunate that on the estate we have got 2 main gate entrances. This gate will have been for the coaches, so you will have come with the coach and the horses. The coach will have been in the coach house, which is now a garage, isn't it? That's what people will use it now with cars. And then the horses will have gone to the stables. Where I'm located actually is much bigger than probably what it seems in camera. We actually had, not that long ago, over 100 people celebrating our best friend's pre-wedding party, and everything happening here. And then to my right, we actually have there the outdoor luxury toilets, the twin toilets that I'm calling them. And this door, I actually had to rush to kind of like have it restored, because over time with buildings, you have to keep on top of it or they just like go down and then it has to start from scratch. We believe it was like a dog's kennel, but we're not very, very sure. Here we planted a lot of daffodils, which they come up in the spring. It's just a little bit of greenery, you know. I like to see green wherever we are. This was a huge amount of work. All of this facade was covered in pebble dash. Pebble dash is like a covering of cement. It was done at some point. It was not good for it. We had to hack everything that was like so much hard work, can't even tell you. We restored all of these original doors. We removed the layers and layers of paint. I think that my mom was helping us, you know, behind the scene, because I mean the amount of like hours that needed. And then we repainted it. We painted this color is called Tiny Estate Blue. I don't know if you know this, but every estate in England has got a color that determines what they own. A very large estate that will have owned villages. If every door was painted, let's say in yellow, that was shown that it belonged to the main estate of whoever, lord, whatever, right? So it identified everything that they own, which I think is hilarious. Someone told us that, I was like, oh, we must have a color. So obviously we have created this color that probably people will have never used, but we love it. It's this kind of like blue-black, so depending on how you look in the light, it looks in a different color.
On the ground floor, we've got inside here beautiful stables, which has 3 bays for horses or donkeys. We had donkeys as part of the Saving the Manor show, and we basically restored it back to its original glory. We are not planning on having horses or donkeys anytime soon, but it seemed sacrilege to change it to anything other than what it is. And also, how can you call it a stables if it doesn't have any stables? So we've got stables, then we've got the stairs that take you up to the hayloft. We've got the tack room. So the tack room is where they would have kept all the leathers, the saddles, everything that would need to be protected and kept warm, because if you didn't have leather kept at a certain temperature, it would start to crack. So inside here was the hooks where all the saddles would be kept, and then there would have been a fire to keep it warm constantly. So that's why it's called the tack room. The tack room I made into an office. So during COVID, I was working from home quite a lot, so I had my office set up in there. I'm not there now because I work at the office now, so it's pretty much an empty office space, which is such a shame, but it has a lovely vibe because inside it has all the original paneling in there with writing on the wall of how much they sold the pigs for in 1800, with the pigs that were over in the pigsties by the gardener's cottage. So it's got a lot of history. And this is the only space on the estate that still has the presence of the old gas lanterns. So before there was electric, the light would have come from a mains gas source from the street, and they would have had little lanterns hung off each of the walls to provide that little bit of light. So it's quite cute. We've got that little backstory of how kind of this accommodation has evolved. Then through the big double doors is the coach house. This is where the coach would have been stored, but we turned it into a workshop slash everything room. We've used it a lot for entertainment. We've dressed it for Chris and Julia's wedding, our best friend's wedding, for parties. We've used it for a few times. Oh, we had Christmas in there one year. It's basically an everything space, a room of requirements. We have all our storage for our tools and stuff in there, but it's hidden away so it can still look like a pretty space. Originally upstairs, you can see through the hayloft door here, they would have just had hay. There would be storage of hay all at the top, but we converted it into a self-contained little accommodation, and I can show you up there now if you want to have a look. Let's go upstairs to the hayloft. Up these stairs is the hayloft. It is actually so unassuming, this space up here, because it's quite a small little access way going up. These are the original stairs which we reinforced from underneath, so we can still keep that rustic look on top, make it a little bit stronger. So as you come up, the other side of this wall is the saddler's cottage. So this would have been where the people looking after the horses would have lived. Nothing would have been up here except the storage of hay. But we've added some dividing walls up here to make these new spaces. Inside here is a little storeroom. Nothing exciting to look at really in there. Then from this point, we've had to introduce new flooring because all the rest was rotten. This is the only little bit we managed to keep. And also we've added underfloor heating through here. So in here is what we call the foyer library room. It's just the first space you come up to when you get into the hayloft, and it distributes to the bedroom and then the kitchen that way. The hayloft would not have been plastered and look so pretty. It would have just been the storage of hay for the horses. We have two haylofts, this hayloft and the hayloft through there. There would have been a hayloft door at the end, and there's one over there that we've kept. And that's the way they would have put the hay in, taken it out again. So it's just a perfectly dry space up above where the horses used to live, where the hay would have been stored. So we have readapted it into the hayloft accommodation. This wall didn't exist before. We had this on the estate, this window, and we added this window in just to share a little bit of natural light between here and the stairs going up. And we've got this beautiful vaulted space. So we're very fortunate that on the estate we've got so many different types of styles of buildings. This one is a very unique one, vaulted, lots of exposed brick, quite fresh. We wanted to go for a more modern look where pretty much all the base layer is just an off-white, and we've introduced browns and greens which are more appropriate for, like, you know, like when you think of a hayloft, you think of a stable, that sort of vibe. This is the library. So interestingly, these were just made out of window boards, MDF window boards, square edge ones and bullnose ones, and we made them into built-in shelving. And we made it seem a bit more bespoke by continuing the paneling around the back in the same color and adding a little skirting board detail to the bottom. We didn't want to lose too much space on the shelving, so we dropped the skirting board a little bit lower than what the normal height is that wraps around here. So yeah, and then this is how we would decorate the space, by filling these shelves with books. A lot of these books were ones that we got from auction houses, from the charity shop down the road, and other books. So these ones, these are the oldest ones we've got. These ones were actually up in the hayloft. They were in a box. Clearly no one wanted them. They date back to between 1890 and 1930. So that, yeah, these are the lovely old books, which are slightly worn away now. But what's this one from? This one's from 1914, George Eliot. And then this is a cute little detail. So this is all the things we found under the floorboards throughout the estate, just random things that we didn't know what to do with. A lot of flip knives, little toys, a domino piece, bottle tops, So yeah, so we put them in here as a little bit of a decoration. This was actually one of the old horses that the estate owners had. So you never know, it could have been in the stables downstairs. And then there's some more old pictures that we got off the estate. But yes, we have found stable horsey style pictures that we've put across this space. So these are lovely artworks that we got from Musi Home. They frame them for us as well. So you'll see throughout the spaces we've got little carriages and horsey sort of style artwork. And then obviously we've got the big wheel. When we were doing this accommodation as part of Saving the Manor, the TV show, when we were fitting out the space, we actually asked them to give us at least a week when we finished the space to dress it, because you can't, I know these shows, they look like they dress them in like a few hours. You need some time to really think about how it looks like. And you put it in, you sit on it and go, no, I'm not sure. And then you change it again. And we knew this area needed something big. So we went for this big ass coach wheel. It fills out this space here, and there's a lovely little seating nook in the sun. So, but we've been a bit quirky. We've got an old sleigh that I really like from an antiques place. So you don't have to follow a theme completely. Yeah, okay, so this door is just a fire door. It's a tongue and groove fire door. It's the same on both sides. We wanted to have one that looked very much like our paneling, so it continued on and it blended the door in somewhat. We always decide the height of our paneling based on doors or some key element within the room, and this element is the height of the door, and we love how it intersects then to the window, and the window architrave just sits right on top of that. Then you can heighten the space by introducing pictures at high level as well. What we find when it comes to vaulted spaces is you need to fill the higher void with something, otherwise it feels quite cavernous. So that's why we introduce lights like this. Big glass pendants that are hanging within the space makes it feel a little bit more sort of elements of grandeur, but still quite utilitarian. When we were finishing this space, we looked at this wall and we had always imagined this window being the focus, but because the window was so high, it was just missing something at the bottom. So these are typical rails that are very common and popular right now to put in kitchens to hang your saucepans and whatnot, but we thought perfect to hang your coat when you come in, or a blanket or something like that, and it fills out that space lovely. And I also love that when you look through, you can see the rawness of the brick, and then another lovely little pendant hanging over the top as well. All the brickwork that we could, we left exposed and we repainted up. It was already painted white. All the internal walls as such, because all the other walls we had to insulate. And then here you'll see this is the chimney breast for the chimney downstairs in the tack room. It had the chimney removed above roof level, and we reintroduced that so we could put a lovely log burner on downstairs. And then these little details, which no one will ever know, but we did make sure that they look pretty, is, can you see the little brick vents down here and down there? We sourced a lovely cast iron vent to go in there because it was just a hole before. It just adds that little extra. So what you're looking at in here, the only thing is original is this brickwork, the door and the purlins, and everything else we've had to modernize to make it feel insulated and warm with underfloor heating. So yeah, so this space where you come in is the library, and then it splits off into the bedroom. So let's show you the bedroom, and this is a lovely bedroom suite that runs all the way through. So in the bedroom area, we have two bays. So this dictated the division of the bedroom because this framework was here, but this infill wasn't. So we infilled it and we created two zones. So we've got the bedroom area here and then the bathroom closet area. It's always about working with the existing space. So these were our constraints. This is the widest section, so we could put our bed here. And then this, we wanted to split up into two different spaces, closet and ensuite. And then we had this middle space in the middle, which we thought, well, what if we put the sink in there? It could be more of like a dressing area space, but the focal point is just amazing. This high level cast iron window, and then we made these big doors to sit within the original frame. It works so well. You may see that we've got some skylights in here. We had a few old ones, but we got permission to make them larger. And the amount of natural light that comes from these reasonably small windows really is amazing. And the view out onto the courtyard is lovely. I've got to say that it doesn't look at the best of states at the minute, but this is 3 years old, and it flowers constantly. And I water it once every 2 months. So it's really good. So we've used across the hayloft 3 textures: brick, paneling, and then the backdrop of smooth plaster. So we've got brick behind Borgia here, painted white, the plain plaster with a lovely timber frame, and then as a headboard, as a backdrop to the bed, we've got our paneling with a lovely head detail on here just to finish it off. You'll notice that with all our paneling, we make sure that our switches and sockets fit perfectly in the middle of the joints, because why not? You know, when you're working through everything all together, like the switches, the sockets, the paneling, the paintwork and everything, you can really consider everything. So the lights fit perfectly in the center as well. I don't know if we shared this, but anyone that watched Saving the Manor may have noticed that the bed is a different one. We had basically a big disaster with the bed. I sourced a pink bed because it was cheaper, and I said I was going to paint it and I was going to cut it down because I didn't like the footboard on it or anything like that. Turns out I cut it down too much and it became so wobbly that we couldn't use it. So for the show, finishing it, we ran out of time. So we were like, okay, we're gonna have to use that bed. So we used the bed, but no one could sit on it, otherwise it would collapse. And then as soon as the show was over, we switched it out for a new bed. But yeah, so I wasted so much money and paint and time for no reason. These are Borgia's side tables that he cut the wrong way. And then we've had to add a little trim to the side, but they look kind of cute. So that's kind of our common thing now, where we cut an unwanted, cheap table in half, 2 for the price of 1, matching side tables. We never got around to doing it, but these ones that we're gonna have a little hinge on, and then we've got our plug socket and charging stuff inside there out the way. This is quite a grand master suite for a hayloft, which is only 1 bedroom. But we were working pretty much with the layer of the space up here. I really like this door that we didn't do anything with it. All we did was clean it. We cleaned it and left it exactly as it was. There's that juggle between like, how much rustic stuff can you have to how much perfect stuff? And as long as you have that good balance, this can look like a feature rather than look like you forgot to do it. Our plan was always to have master suite that had this beautiful view through, but you could also close the doors off and it can feel quite cozy, the bedroom space, because we realized that we love these huge rooms to kind of work on and finish, but actually we really like the smaller spaces as well. So this has got a bit of both. So yeah, so open them up, have this lovely centerpiece, which is an old dresser that we bespoke and add a quartz top on and a sink within it. And it feels like a piece of furniture rather than it does a bathroom. And then these were so surprising, actually. I was thinking something so complex. I wanted to put mirrors on an angle because I thought we could reflect light and views through. And also the window, yeah, the window is my eye level, so I couldn't put a mirror there. So I thought I'm gonna have to put them on hinges, what I'm gonna do. And in the end, I literally just put a screw that way, a screw that way, and I managed to just hook it on like you would normally do. So I'm really happy how that turned out. Borgia made some flowers just for this recording because we don't usually have flowers in here constantly. No one will realize this, but this layout was so critical, okay? We had this unit that was a certain size. We had a shower tray in there that was a certain size. And we had off-the-shelf cupboards in there that was a certain size. But we also have a width of this space which is also set as well. So we managed to get all 3 of these elements to fit perfectly within the width of the stables. This window had to be bang on in the middle, otherwise it would look weird. The key with how we approach design is that we work as much as possible with its original character because you can't change that. There's something quite unique about it. If we wash this out with just plain plastered walls, it wouldn't be as exciting as all the textures we've got everywhere, you know? I definitely think these doors created this space and made it wow, because it's something that people don't usually have. You don't usually have 3-meter high doors in your bedroom. You don't usually have like huge handles on here and like a view like that. So it's something a little bit unique, which actually worked really well for us. And they weren't that expensive. These were just pine boards we got from a reclamation yard, big ass hinges on it. The studs probably were a little bit pricey, but on the whole, maybe £150 to make these doors, which I think is a huge success for the size of them. We've had people say, were these original? Which, I mean, I don't think they look original, but it's quite nice that they would say that in the context of all this. So we've got the bedroom here, and then this space splits into two. You go left to the bathroom, right to the closet. So if I show you the closet, what we did in here is these are actually cupboards from IKEA. They're kitchen cupboards, which we got spray painted to match the bespoke color we had made in here. And then we built in a washer dryer as well. So the clothes never leave this space. When they're dirty, they get washed and they put straight back in. And I love that idea. I really think we should have used that idea a little bit more in other spaces. But yeah, great size walk-in closet. And then a similar size on the other side is the ensuite. So this got the toilet and the shower in. This ladder, this is the remaining part of the ladder that is in the stables. We had to cut it off when we blocked off that access through. Rather than throwing it away, we've made it into a little towel holder. This is one of my favorite showers to date. Lovely seat you can sit on. Although, if anyone's making a seat in the shower and they're using marble, put underfloor heating in it because it's so cold on your bum. So yeah, so this is, I mean, just everything. I've been really happy with how it's turned out. But look at this detail, guys, okay? So look at that intersection there. This, no one will really ever notice this, but I do, that this shower door is the perfect width between this wall and that point of the purlin that's original. Yeah. I mean, that's impressive, right? So this is a standardized shower tray, and we've just worked the rest of the space to form a seat. All brass fittings that age naturally, and then you've got that lovely access through to the closet and then through to your bedroom. So I think it works pretty perfectly. I've not known anyone come up here and say that this is not their favorite space out of all of the spaces we've created, which is amazing when you think that this didn't exist. Unlike the other spaces which have so much character, so much history, so much stories to tell, this has never been lived in until we created this, and which is quite special. When it came to kind of putting any sockets and switches onto the bare brickwork, we used a surface mounted conduit, which actually I really like. It's a little bit industrial, but it works with this space. And as you can see, more stable related artwork. The great thing about it not being a house as such, as it being like an annex or accommodation for people to stay, we can theme it a little bit, you know? So instead of putting family artwork there, we'll put things that are appropriate to the style of the property. And even that view through, look, you can see the entire length of this first hayloft. So this is the first hayloft. We had a second hayloft as well, which we've managed to connect together. So we've connected these two together to make a much grander accommodation. So this is the quirky space that goes through to the hayloft. We didn't ever think we'd be able to get through because this is the roof here, and this is the valley section. But luckily we've managed to create an access through with a very, very big steel to support all of what's going on here, to be able to get through into an amazing open plan kitchen living area. Again, similar to the other hayloft, we've got a division. This is what the other hayloft would have looked like, but we filled them in to create the ensuite and the closet behind. But with this one, we didn't need to, because we wanted to create this large space, which I love. I think the big thing about open plan spaces that they still need to be segregated. To have a really big space can feel quite cavernous, but this divides it. This divides it. This is actually This is actually the chute from the stables downstairs. So when the horses started smelling, all their smells would go through there and then through the roof. So we left that as a lovely feature. But yeah, so the first bay you come into is the sitting area, and then it's naturally broken in half, and then this is the kitchen dining space, which has worked so well. We've lived in here for about a year and it's just been such a social space. You'll see that we kept the original hayloft door here. The other hayloft door that's in the closet is visible on the outside. It's been covered over on the inside. So this would have had paint tubs in or brushes or whatever, and we put flowers in it, we put food in it. It's a great multifunctional item. Let me switch the light on because I love how it switches on.
Amazing.
And then we created a low-level seating area here. When you look at it, this reads all as kitchen because we've used the same cupboard styles down here, but it's just a low-level bench you can sit on. We've got a built-in fridge freezer here, dishwasher, ovens there. We've got a microwave in there as well, so everything's hidden away, but it's got everything you need for a kitchen. This, like all of our kitchens, are hacks. They're hacks of IKEA cupboards. We love IKEA for their storage solution. Oh, by the way, IKEA have never worked with us. And I think it's crazy because the amount we've done with their units, these are actually IKEA as well. They stopped selling them, unfortunately, that we had spray painted to our own color. How we make it a little more bespoke is we add a skirting detail to the bottom, and we also add a lovely detail trim under here, which is just an MDF board that sits on top of the cupboards, and then we put our quartz on top. We always say kitchen cupboards are identical. They're all made exactly the same. They're all made of melamine. They're all covered over with just cheap stuff, really, but they're all the same. Why spend a lot of money on that? Invest in the worktops. We spend more on the worktops than we do the cupboards because these are what are going to be banged about the most, going to be used the most, and you want them to last. Anything you're touching is what you should invest your money in. All the other stuff, the secondary stuff, you don't need to spend that much money on unless you just love spending money. A house is always made up of so many layers. I've always said that a house should look good without anything in it, and then when you add that extra little bit, it's that icing on the cake. So how we've added extra detail in here is with this brass rail, and we can always change the style of this kitchen by just changing what we're hanging on these hooks. This again, like the other hayloft, is the focal point, the high level cast iron window. This has such a lovely view throughout the seasons. Winter, you get the snow on the trees. Autumn, you've got the leaves falling off. The sun comes through here during sort of late afternoon, and it just washes against this wall with all the, you know, the pattern of the glass. It's such a lovely space, and because we have created it from nothing, we've managed to insulate it perfectly so that it is so lovely and warm in the winter. And this is our heat source. The entire floor is underfloor heating, so it's lovely and cozy. Oh my God, I'm like selling it to myself so much that I want to move back in.
I know.
This is actually not the original brick. These are brick slips. We almost painted them. I'm still at that quandary of like, if it was white, it would have matched the other bricks perfectly, but it does add a nice color texture up there. You know, brown is probably not everyone's cup of tea, but it just felt appropriate for a stable building. We compromised by not having a huge amount of storage that goes up to here, to have that spaciousness of it only being at this counter level. And you know, where is our extractor? We didn't want an extractor over the hob that's going to be this big and also be complex with the ceiling. So our extractor's here and it goes down and out. So it's all those little details that make the whole look like this. I really wanted to put a swing here over that thing, but it just didn't work. Would have been cute, right? So yeah, this is the open plan space, which it's a very healthy sized 1-bedroom accommodation, but it comes with its own privacy. It sits on its own as opposed to the rest of the estate being connected, and it's got all the workshop, the tack room and the stables below. So yeah, so that is the hayloft. I hope you like it. If there's any little details that you like or you want to know more about, just ask us in the comment section and we will try and answer it. And if not, we'll try and do another video which explains them in a little bit more detail.